A conversation with a jewelry artisan. Learn more right after this.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome to Community Watch. Greg,
Doc,
how are you doing?
I'm doing great. And yourself?
I'm good. And, you know, now and then we have a show about a subject we haven't really dealt with.
We haven't.
This is new.
Yes, very new.
This is new.
But as usual, it's one of those stories that I came in through you. You know, you said some stuff, but that's why I love you, though. You always kind of pushing the envelope for me just a little bit further.
We have a guest today who's an artist who makes jewelry, and both of us have been customers. When we have some interesting stories about that too, which we'll probably share. But and we'll find out from Mr. Staley when he joins us in a minute. But I'm thinking that this is kind of unusual to find. It's hard to find somebody that can create something
custom.
Yeah.
I mean, I find it fascinating because so much of jewelry, especially it seems with the younger generation, the music videos and what you have, but the appreciation for custom pieces, a custom piece of jewelry, I just don't know that we appreciate it as much as a culture. Just run out and get something. But then when I found out, about custom jewelry and being able to have stuff, now I actually want some more stuff. Actually, yeah.
I'm sure that will please our guest, who will join us in just a minute. So stay with us. We'll be back after this.
Seven 7,000 high school students drop out every school day. That's a line of desks more than 4 miles long. We can keep students in school. Visit boostup.org and take the first step.
Welcome back to Community Watch, and we're very happy to have with us today Bob Staley, jewelry artisan. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
And your business is in Cartersville.
That's correct.
Where it's been for a while.
About 27 years now.
Okay. And I was trying to think how I found you, and I don't remember. I was asking around, because I needed to have a ring made, an unusual ring, and so I got your name from somebody.
Could it have been a local jeweler, perhaps?
Maybe.
That did that, I believe.
Because you can't get custom work done at just any jewelry store. I mean, I know that's true.
A lot of places don't offer it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to get into it. They don't want to deal with it. They like buying stock items from vendors and selling the same things. Whereas I found a niche of something that I enjoyed, and that was custom.
Now you have, I guess, what might be called more traditional items too, I suppose.
Well, actually, what I do is strictly repairs and custom work. I don't have an inventory.
Right.
So I'll make anything traditional or anything that you can imagine. If it can be done, I feel comfortable that I could do it.
Actually, I'd ask Bob, you have any pieces we could have on the show? I make pieces for people, so when I make it, they take it home.
They get a little touchy about you bringing their pieces somewhere else. You know.
So you don't really just make random pieces of jewelry to sell as much as, I mean, these are to order.
They are to order, exactly. It's like a custom home or anything else, or custom suit, anything you would do. It's tailor-made to fit your needs and your wants.
And how did you get into this?
Oh boy. I was a junior at college here at Shorter, and was working at the time at a department store in what was Riverbend Mall. And I was on a break, and a gentleman came up behind me and approached me and said, "Excuse me." And I turned around and he said, "Would you like a job?" And I said, "I have one." And he said, "Yeah, you work here?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, I need an assistant manager and a jeweler." And I said, "I don't know anything about jewelry." I was 20 years old at the time. And so he said, "Would you just come talk to me?" And I said, "Well, I might." And come to find out, we had a mutual friend, and he was in desperate need of having some help. And that was over 35 years ago now. And that's how it started.
So someone just came up to you?
Just came up to me.
Does that happen to you a lot?
Well, not for that. I mean,
I was discovered, I guess that way, but that's what happened. And so I had no interest in jewelry at the time. I had been in a jewelry store twice in my life. My high school French teacher's husband had owned a jewelry store here in Rome. And I went in one time and saw them. And that was it.
So you didn't have an art background, or
not at all.
So all of that developed on the job.
It did. It was more of, if I attribute it incorrectly, was it Einstein that said it's 90% perspiration and 10% inspiration? And that's how it was for me for years and years. Is people would come in and say, "I want this, I need it made," and I'd go, "Yeah, I can do that." And then I would sit down and go, "How am I going to do this?" And it worked.
And it worked apparently well enough that you were able to focus just on this for your livelihood.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's taken care of me and my family, like I said, for 35 years now.
Because it seems to me, and it's been many years, but it seems to me when I found you, that was the business that was there was more of a conventional jewelry store that you worked out of.
And it still is.
Still is.
Still is.
So you're connected with
I'm connected in the sense that we've been together 27 years and we occupy a same building, but we're actually separate businesses. That store has been in town for 74 years. And 27 years ago we met up, and so I've been there ever since.
Now, Bob, when you talk about custom jewelry, is it just me, or is it just society that it just seems like until I went in for my ring, I had the ring, I never thought about custom jewelry. I mean, I just never thought about it. You need a piece of jewelry, you just go in a jewelry store, pick whatever one you want, and you go in, and let's be honest, for the most part, they're very similar. It's a ring, you choose your gemstones. But it's like no one ever really talked about custom jewelry. And then I was talking to you, and the thought that I had with custom jewelry, it would be expensive. And you were saying some of it is, but some of it is not. You have your range, but why is it, do you think, been in the business this long, that that just seems so alien to have custom jewelry, I guess?
A really good question. People don't think about it because there's so much jewelry available that meets their needs. They see that ring, their friend has one like it, they know where they got it, they go get it. And it's pretty, I call it cookie cutter, not in a bad term, that's not negative, just the fact that they reproduce and mass produce these things by the tens of thousands all over the country. But what usually I find people, they see something unusual, like the ring that you did.
Maybe not that unusual.
Maybe not that unusual, but it sparks a conversation, and they think, I don't want something like that, but I want something a little different that no one else has, because the person that I want to give it to, or me, I want something just different, not something everybody else has. So usually an idea or a need comes up. I do a lot of restyling of jewelry. People will come in, I've got this ring, this ring, this ring, all these stones. what can I do with it? They sit in my jewelry box, and we come up with ideas together. Or if people don't have a clue, I'll present a few ideas based on what I see, and then a new piece comes out of that. I get a lot of custom wedding bands. I don't know why manufacturers don't make an engagement ring and a band to fit. I mean, there's a market right there, but they'll make an engagement ring and there's no band to go with it. And nothing that's stock that you can find anywhere will, will fit the order. So I do custom bands as well.
Well, it makes so much sense that people would want something unique for a special occasion. I don't know why. I mean, you ought to be covered up.
But I do. Bob was saying that it struck me. Advertisement. When you think about around Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, the big chains. I mean, the TV station, the junk mail. I mean, the mail, the advertising. I mean, it's just come here, come here, come here. We got what you need. Come here, come here. But there's really no advertisement for come get your custom-made ring at virtually the same price. But you have all this advertisement that I never thought about, just going into a shop.
Why would you want to give the same ring that thousands of other people, maybe more than that, have?
Because it's the American way. Why everybody got to drive a white whatever? It's just, it's mass produced, you get yours and keep on going until somebody says, hey, you do have an option to have something different,
Well, I was very fortunate to have found Bob, I don't know how many years ago, to make a ring for me shaped like a pop top off of a beer can, which was actually what I used to propose. I used an actual pop top to propose. It was obviously not something I'd put a lot of thought in. It was a spontaneous kind of thing.
Paul
and that's
loved
what
it,
I
right?
had. Love may be a strong word, but she wore it. I mean, she wore it.
She wore the actual.
She wore it, and she got all these. That's a very unusual ring. That's unusual. So eventually, I gave her a real ring, but she kept that pop top. And then on I can't remember what anniversary it was, I decided I would get that recreated.
More valuable.
Yes, I ended up using white gold, and in fact, you may have. After I talked to you, you may have given me instructions on, because I ended up going to pawn shops and buying, I don't know, white gold at pawn shops until I had enough to make the ring with. I think you probably advised me to do that to save a little money.
And you can.
So I brought all that to you, and then you made a beautiful ring in the shape of a pop top, which
a beer can pop top.
Well, yeah.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't. It says something about me, I'm afraid. But you were great about it. I mean, you didn't make me feel ridiculous.
No reason to feel ridiculous.
You may have laughed as soon as I left the store.
But that's why actually when I went to Bob, I think I went a couple of times, and he was able to tell me, kind of help guide me, ABCD, and it got you to thinking, like, okay, what are my options? Because one of the things about custom jewelry is that you do have options, versus when you go in the store, you have options of whatever you want, but it's not quite what I want, but this is the different versions. Do you see that when you make custom jewelry, is that a part of it though? People love to be able to kind of have the different options that they didn't think was possible?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, again, if it can be done, that's the thing. That's the limit, really. And what's nice about it is if you see things that don't just appeal to you and you go, I just want something a little different, what can we do? Then working together, we can come up with ideas where you can get something that not everybody else has. And so it does give you more options. You're not just stuck with, I don't like any of these, I guess I'll get that one. It's not what I really want. It's not that special to me. You know, she wouldn't. It'll be like everybody else's, or you know. But usually, when a guy wants to give a ring like that, it's I want something that just says wow, and everybody else goes wow, and she's going to be excited when everybody else goes wow. I tell a lot of my custom customers, if you don't want attention, don't wear it, because people are going to come up to you and say, "Oh my gosh, where did you get that? I've never seen anything like that," or "That is just amazing," and I said it'll start conversations.
Well, we have to take a quick break here. When we get back, we'll have a lot more discussion, so don't go away.
Traditional light bulbs actually generate 9 times more heat than light. Switch to Energy Star light bulbs, and you'll realize just how much cash you were really burning through. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov.
Welcome back to Community Watch, and we're talking with Bob Staley, who is a jewelry artisan. Artist makes custom jewelry. You know, when I see like older rings that have been, say, in a family for a long time, or sometimes you see in antique stores, they look much different than the kind of standard jewelry that you see in most jewelry stores. Is it? I mean, were those custom made too, do you think, or have styles just changed over the years?
Good question. I think that pretty much we call them period pieces. You know, they'll be different Art Deco. It will reflect the cultures, the influences of the day, the art, and so on. So there were different periods of time throughout our history, and of course European history, long before the United States. And so you get period pieces. Then you get pieces that we just typically call vintage, in that it's just older looking. But there's a lot of companies that try to go back and recreate that look. And I do some vintage things. People come in and they'll have older cut diamonds that was a grandmother's or a great-grandmother's, not cut quite like they have them now, and you can tell it's an older cut. So it just makes sense to put it in an older looking ring. And so even something that looks very old could be brand new and modern. But they are different styles for different periods of time, and you can get about anything now, even brand new.
So as we was discussing a little bit off the air, but you make everything, not just rings. So necklaces, bracelets, pendants. If it can be made in this jewelry, you pretty much
I feel comfortable we can do it. If you have the want to, and sometimes our wants, what they talk about, beer budgets and champagne budgets, you know, just depends on what you want, but it can be done. And I do a lot of different things. That's the nice thing about custom. I think custom scares people. All of a sudden you think, oh, cha-ching, you know, it's going to be a lot, really, really expensive. Just to give you an idea, without talking a lot of numbers necessarily, and it depends on what you have and what you want. And when you throw out numbers, sometimes people say, but you said this number, this is not that number, why? But my custom starts at about $250 for something that's just something you just won't find someplace. Now, there's a lot of factors in that. What are we doing? Do you have materials? And so on. So again, without just trying to be careful about throwing out numbers, but that's where it begins. Now, the most expensive custom piece that I have ever produced was about $130,000. I worked on jewelry up to $500,000.
Was that your ring?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
He told me not to tell.
No.
But you know, and I do an extensive amount of repairs. I started out doing repair work and became very proficient at that, and got into custom after that. But so any type of repair work, all up through custom design.
And I imagine, besides the occasional pop-top ring, you've had probably some unusual requests.
I've had a few.
And I guess what I'm asking, not necessarily for examples of that, but just the fact that you're open to whatever.
And I am. I guess there are things I would say that are a matter of good taste. For me, I'm an older guy. I didn't think I'd ever say that, but I am, and I tend to be a little conservative in my own personal life. So there are certain things that I won't do, but you have to discuss that with me first, and we'll talk about it. Other than that, I'm open to anything that can be done. So again, don't know till you ask.
Well, I would think more people, knowing that they have this option, would choose that
Yes.
rather than, I mean, and for a piece like a wedding ring or something.
Well, I was just thinking when you was talking about you went to pawn shops and you gathered whatever. I'm just thinking how many of us have old jewelry anyway, just sitting in our jewelry box or the several jewelry boxes that just there, and you'd never get your money worth by selling it for scrap or whatever, but you could actually customize or refit it or do something with it, melt it down or something. But that's so much appealing to be able to give someone you care about a gift that is more personable. I mean, nothing wrong with going to any store buying what you want, but if you could take some of this old stuff and make something new with it, it just seems give it more character, I guess. And there's a story to it. Well, babe, that ring actually came from, my 1988 chain, something.
Well, if I could just interject with that's a perfect way to do it. People don't realize what they have, and they bring it in, and I've actually had customers bring all their gold from old stuff, and we recycle it. I use your metal. I don't use someone else's metal. If you bring me your metal, I will use your metal to make your piece. I'll use your stones. People come out, they'll have more metal than they need for the piece they want to make. I can buy the old metal. I have often had people come in and pay for a custom job and walk away with more cash on top of that because they had old jewelry they weren't using. So you can actually have custom done that actually doesn't cost you any more than you spent when you first bought the pieces. That's a possibility.
Now, you obviously, even though you went into this originally with no experience in the trade, you've obviously learned and taught yourself a lot. Not just figuring out how to do each piece, but just hearing you speak, it's obvious that you know a good bit about the history of jewelry and all of that. I mean, you had to have done some research along the way.
No, a little bit. I mean, if you're going to be in this business, it's like anything else. You're going to be exposed to a lot. I have peers all over the country, thankful for the internet. There was a time when if you ever walked into a jewelry store, they would hide everything and they didn't want you to see their techniques and their things, and now it's openly shared. I've even made videos teaching people. I'm a master trainer for laser welding, jewelry applications laser welding, and I teach other jewelers how to use lasers to make jewelry. So
no, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's a fascinating thing.
Is that new?
It's relatively new in the terms of historically it's very new, but I've had a laser about 16 years. One of the first jewelers in the country to actually have a laser, believe it or not, in little old Cartersville.
So I'm trying to think how that works. I mean, I had this vision of you with little hammers and. It's a little more
hand tools, you know.
I don't know.
You see the jeweler, the old guy with the visor or the monocle, and he's sitting there hammering away. I do that too.
Yeah.
But I bought into technology back a long time ago, and what I like about it is I can do things I couldn't have done before with new technology, and I'm always trying to see what's new, what's going to help me do my job better, and ultimately be a better product for my customers.
So, do folks find you largely from being referred, word of mouth?
That's how you guys got there. I depend on that. That's my lifeline.
That's interesting because actually I was in a jewelry store, and I had got my ring made, and I had been to several jewelry stores. Don't get me wrong, I was doing my due diligence, went to several jewelry stores, went to different places, and the jewelry person, they was going. I already had the loose diamond, and I went to Bob. He put everything, got me, did this and that. But they said, she said, well, actually, I said, well, Bob down the street. She said, you want to know what? We sent some of our stuff to Bob too. And so it was like, so I just thought that was interesting that the jewelry store actually refer people to Bob too, you know, sometimes. But when you think about it now, it makes so much sense to get something, to at least approach the idea of having something custom made for someone special. It doesn't have to be the most expensive thing, but just the fact that you can give someone something that no one else has, just, you know, speaks volumes.
Well, you don't know until you ask, and I'll tell you this, I have never ever turned someone off who tried to do business with me. Estimates are free. You come in, I have this idea, give me some ballpark. What do you think it's going to cost me? We'll talk about it. I really am interested in that, and people should approach it, I think, a little more. I think they'd be happy and surprised.
Yeah. Seems to me, with my little project, you also gave me the price of what it would cost in platinum.
Mm-hmm.
So I instantly went another direction.
Yeah. See, now time has changed. I discussed with Bob Palladium.
Really?
Yes.
I don't even know what that is. What is that?
That's part of the platinum family, actually.
He has been he has really boned up on his stuff. He has. He knew what he was talking about when he came in.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's just the thing, you know, having the option to even have different metal types. You know, you go in the store, you pretty much have to choose, you know, white gold or yellow gold, 10 karat, 14, 18, and that's it. And that's all we've been kind of taught, so that's what we think. But to go into a jewelry store and have a person who's very professional start giving you these different options, it's like, wow, I just didn't know I had that many choices. And so the fact that I think more people should just at least approach custom jewelry.
Well, what are some of the more obscure metals that you work with?
I work with titanium,
Yeah.
some. With the laser, I have those capabilities,
Yeah.
whereas you couldn't with a torch. Palladium, platinum, a lot of things are rhodium plated. So a lot of different things like that.
Some of those I don't know anything about.
Well, you know, I just like learning, so it was interesting to me that,
So are you going to become a collector now?
Not a collector, but I can see myself having some custom pieces made. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, to me, it just makes sense. If you can afford it, if you plan ahead or whatever, but it just makes sense to have
what is the most expensive metal that you've worked with?
Metal?
All of those, yes.
Well, actually, platinum probably, as a general rule, is more expensive.
Yeah.
You'll get something made or something?
No, I was just asking. I'm not going to ask him what the cheapest metal. Well, maybe I should ask.
Well, actually, even though historically it's expensive, but sterling silver obviously is less expensive.
Yeah.
And it's a great white. We call it a white metal, silver metal.
So it's
a great alternative.
Melt down forks and spoons and make that.
I actually have.
Yeah, I bet you have.
I did. See?
Well, we're coming up on another break. When we get back, I'm going to give you some contact information so you can have those custom pieces made, or at least talk to Bob about it and start gathering up your platinum. So stay with us. We'll be right back after this.
If you're looking for a new pet that your family will cherish every day, consider adopting from a shelter. Shelters are the best places to find a new pet. That's where you'll discover healthy, loyal, and loving animals, eager to become a part of your family. A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet, so bring home your new buddy today. To find out more, visit theshelterpetproject.org.
Welcome back to Community Watch. We've been talking with Bob Staley, custom jewelry artisan. And if you want to find out more, go to the website bobstaley.com, BOBSTALEY.com, or call 770-382-8268. And the shop is actually next to Longhorns in Main Street East, Cartersville. So you ought to give Bob a call and ask him about your special project. Thanks for being with us.
Oh, thank you guys for having me. It's my pleasure.
And thank you for being with us. We'll see you next time on Community Watch.